even if like I said, even if it's you getting help from them every single time, just because you have like human connection, they'll probably be less inclined to speak poorly of you when it comes to like giving feedback for performance, just because like, oh, he's such a nice guy, like I don't really want to like give him like a bad rating, like in this, like maybe this is not that conscious, right? It could be at least subconscious.
Mm-hmm. That is so fascinating. You mentioned that. I completely agree, right? The humanistic aspect of working with your coworkers, having that recurring meeting looks really good on you. It can also lead to like a lot of peer bonuses you get at Google, which are really big in the company because you have to give around 7 or 8, right? Or else it just goes away. Joey, can you talk about networking, right? I know this was super big at Google, especially during perf reviewing, during grad. What advice do you have for engineers or people in tech who want to get good perf reviews or do well on grad, which is Google's form of a performance review?
Right. I think there's a bunch of things. I'm not the best person here to ask about this, but I'll try my best because this is something I realize I need to work on more. But obviously, talk to your stakeholders, pick like high impact projects, or not. See, impact or performance doesn't have to be real. It just needs to be perceived.
That's
right.
So fast. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. I'm not saying like, I'm not saying that as in like, oh, fake your stuff or be a phony or whatever. Just like, I'm saying more like if I guess maybe there's two things, right? If there's a project you feel is going to be higher impact, but then all your stakeholders say, oh, no, I would think we want to do this because of whatever reasons, it's going to take you so much work to convince them otherwise. Right. And they probably have good reasons too. So sometimes you just got to give the customers what they want. Right. Just and the other aspect is I said perceived performance. Right. So a lot of times it's not about the absolute quality of your work. It's about how you present your work.
Mm-hmm.
For example, at Google, there's this culture of writing docs, right? Writing documentation,
huge doc culture,
design docs, retrospectives, future planning, whatever, right? And as engineers, we write code, right? But people aren't going to be, when it comes to performance review, people aren't going to be reading a code, right? They're going to be trying to figure out why did you write this code? Like, what's the impact of this code, right? So they're going to be reading docs and be like, okay, first we had this problem, and then we built this feature, and we saw 3x improvement, blah blah blah, right? They want to see that, right? So it's about the perceived impact. I can be the most amazing engineer and write a bunch of code, but if I don't write any docs, people aren't, at least at Google, people aren't going to know what the hell I did, and I'm going to have a poor rating.
It's so fascinating you mentioned that, because I remember my manager always told me perception is reality, even though it might not be fair. Perception is reality, especially at Google. So yes. He was always pushing us to like write more documentation, really advertise your work. I had a friend, it was so crazy.